Video we're going to look at utility theory. Specifically, we're going to take a close look at the difference between total utility and marginal utility. So total utility, as it sounds, is the total amount of satisfaction, utility being satisfaction or value that a consumer receives from consuming any economic activity. Okay, and marginal utility looks at the incremental change in utility, so the one unit or the change in utility when there's a 1 unit change in consumption. Okay, so it's the incremental change in utility. Okay? And remember that we've already gone over the law of diminishing marginal utility, which states that at some point there's going to be a decrease in the marginal utility. The law formally says the more and more you consume of one good or service while holding all other consumption constant, at some point there's going to be a decrease in marginal utility. Okay, so the amount of satisfaction you get from one time of doing something at some point is going to diminish. Your total utility can stay positive. So for example, if we look at, let's say this is Steve's hot dog consumption. If he has, let's say, 3 hot dogs, he would get 100 units of satisfaction, 75 units of satisfaction from the second one, and then 50 units of satisfaction from the third one. So we can look at this as his total satisfaction, where we would take all of these for the 3 combined, and that would equal his total utility. Or we can say his individual utility of 100 plus his utility of 50 plus his utility of 75. Sometimes I did it out of order. But we would be able to say that his overall satisfaction of 225 units is his total utility. Now notice that his diminishing marginal utility sat in right here on number 2. His marginal utility started to decrease when he had that second hot dog. He didn't enjoy it quite as much as the first one. But notice that his total utility is a positive number. It never goes negative. There's nothing that says that the law of diminishing marginal utility says that your total utility has to go negative. Your total utility can still be a positive number. It's just your marginal utility that's going to be negative at some point. Okay, so let me clean this up and we'll get rid of all the additional scribbles that I just did. Now we have pizza over here and hot dogs over here, and I've just arbitrarily assigned Steve some amount of utility that he's getting from pizza and some amount of utility that he's getting from consuming more and more units of hot dogs. Okay, so all we know for sure is that his utility in this example is decreasing. Okay, his marginal utility is decreasing. And again, these are arbitrarily assigned. Okay, so 1 unit of utility is what we call 1 util. So if he eats a hot dog, he starts off with 100 utils of satisfaction. Then he goes down to 75 utils of satisfaction for the second one. Okay, so just based on this information that we have right here, we don't really have enough to know very much about his preference between pizzas and hot dogs. If we look at it, we would think, well, it looks like that, for 1 unit of pizza and 1 unit of hot dog, he enjoys them about the same. But until we have an idea of how much pizzas and hot dogs cost, we don't really understand what his preferences would look like. So let's go back and use the information that we had from last examples, where hot dogs are going to cost $1 and pizzas are going to cost $2. Okay, let's say $2. Okay, so this is the price of pizzas and hot dogs. Okay, so now we're going to look at what's called marginal utility per dollar. So we're going to take the marginal utility of hot dogs and divide through by the price of hot dogs. Okay, so for this first one, it's going to be divided through by $1. So it would be 100 units of satisfaction divided by the price of $1. So the units are going to stay the exact same, right? Oops, it's 25, 0, -10, and -15. Okay, now over here, the marginal utility of pizza divided through by the price of pizza. Well, pizza is $2, so we would take 100 and divide through by $2, which will give me 50 utils per dollar. So here we see that he has 50 utils of satisfaction per his first slice of pizza when we're looking at it on a per dollar basis. Okay, this would be 80 divided by 2, 60 divided by 2, 40 divided by 2, 20 divided by 2, 0 divided by 2, and 10 divided by 2, which would be -5. Sorry, over here, once I started the negatives, I didn't, oops. There we go. Yes, I did. It was divided by $1, so I didn't need to take those in half. Okay, so now we have a little bit more information. Okay, we see that Steve is able to have a better idea of how many units of pizza and how many units of hot dogs he's going to buy with his income, because we see that there's different prices that he's going to have to pay for these goods. And when we look at it as the marginal utility per dollar that he's going to spend, he's going to want to maximize that. So let's say that, let's just say that he has, $5 that he's deciding to spend on these, okay? So the amount of income that he's starting with is $5. So how is he going to choose to spend his $5? Well, on his first dollar, if we were looking at $1, what would he choose to buy with $1? Well, his first dollar for $1 would be spent right here, right? He would buy $1 worth of hot dogs. So he's spent his first dollar and he's bought a unit of hot dogs. Okay, so now he's going to use his second dollar. And remember, he's going to utilize all of $5 on one of these goods or services. Well, his second dollar is also going to go towards hot dogs. He's going to buy a second hot dog, and he's going to get 75 additional units of satisfaction based on that second dollar. So now he's got a third dollar to spend, and for his third dollar, let's say, show up. So he's got his third dollar. What is he going to buy with his third dollar? Well, if we look at how many units he can get of pizza and how many units he can get of hot dogs, we'll see that per dollar spent, they're even at pizza and hot dogs. So just to switch things up, let's say that his third piece of pizza, and let's say that when he's spending $2 over here, we can say that the third and the fourth are spent together on pizza, and so he's going to get this twice. Okay, so he has to spend $2 and he's going to get 50 for the first half of a slice and 50 for the second half of a slice. Okay, then he has one additional dollar, and let's make the assumption that he can, in fact, buy only half of a piece of pizza. So this fifth dollar that he needs to spend, what is he going to spend that fifth dollar on? Well, he could, he's had a full piece of pizza, so he could, we said, maybe buy half a piece of pizza, and half a piece of pizza for $1 would give him 40 units of satisfaction. But look over here, if he buys an additional hot dog, even though this will be his third unit of hot dogs, it's still going to give him 50 units of satisfaction. So as a rational consumer, he would come over here and buy his third hot dog. So his fifth dollar would go towards the consumption of hot dogs. Okay, so basically, once we add in what's going on with the price, we're able to get a better idea of what this individual would do with his, how he would spend his income. Okay, so this goes right along with the budget constraint. In the next video, we're going to look at taking this idea of marginal utility per dollar and how we're able to use that in order to come up with a demand curve. Okay, so the next video will look at not only how we need the budget constraint and marginal utility and total utility, but we'll also look at how we can use the information that we've already covered to create a demand curve.